Hi, welcome to another episode of Bethany Talks About Stuff. I'm your host, Bethany F. DeVores, author of the Yggdrasil Chronicles, available from Amazon. And today, I'm in my totally normal, everyday wear to talk to you about Assassin's Creed 2. So I decided to do this series, the old school Assassin's Creed games in 2023. I have not played any of these old games up until now. What I have played is Assassin's Creed Valhalla. So if you haven't watched my intro video for this series, let me give you a very brief synopsis. When the Xbox Series X was very difficult to get, the only one I could get was a bundle that included Assassin's Creed Valhalla. I set that to the side and thought I'll never play it because years ago, I played the very first Assassin's Creed for like 2 hours and I didn't like it. I'm not good at parkour, not good at stealth. I just would rather move on and do something else, which is what I did. But I recently had a friend convince me, you've already got Assassin's Creed Valhalla. Why don't you just give it a try? And if you don't like it, you don't have to keep playing it. So I said, what the heck? I did ask, however, do you need to know anything about the old games in order to play this game? I just assumed you would need to. And he said, nah, you don't really need to. But just in case, here's a couple of YouTube videos. I just want to say I appreciate the effort, but I still did not understand what in the world was going on. So I did kind of need that background. So I'm going to put a link in the description of this video to the YouTube video that did help me a lot, which was a very long video by the Patient Wolf that told Ezio, the main character, Ezio's story from Assassin's Creed 2 through Revelations, the end of Revelations. So watching that video made me just fall in love with Ezio. What a great character. Like, chef's kiss. Just beautiful story arc. So character development, very enjoyable. And so I liked that so much. I decided maybe I'll go back and play those games. That's why this happened. So because I had those games, I thought, you know what? I know it's 2023, but I'm going to play all these games anyway, and I'm going to give you my thoughts because that's what I do. And I hope that you find some value in this. We're going to find out. So a little quick overview. And before I get too far into this, the game was released in 2009, but I'm going to say it anyway. Tons of spoilers. If you're like me and you hadn't played it by 2023, you deserve to have spoilers and just get over it. I had the whole thing spoiled for me and I still played it. So you'll be all right. Our main character is Ezio Auditore.
Me! Ezio! Ezio Auditore!
He is a banker's son in Firenze, in an Italian town. This takes place in the years between 1476 through 1499. And we still dress like that today. I have actually never been a huge fan of the Renaissance. So there are different periods of history, just like anybody. I find history very interesting, but there are certain periods of history I find more interesting than others. I like the medieval times, obviously, because I write fantasy and a lot of that's very medieval time-esque. I like World War II. I mean, terrible things happen, but I find it very fascinating. I actually did World War II reenactment for a while. It's a long story. That's another whole thing. But anyways, you get the idea. The Renaissance was never one I cared much for, to be honest. But I liked Ezio. So I was willing to brave it. Hey, it's not horrible. There's some really interesting stuff. I mean, wonderful art. You know, you get the Ninja Turtles. Leonardo da Vinci. I always want to say DiCaprio. Leonardo da Vinci, Donatello, Michelangelo, Raphael. The Ninja Turtles. But, you know, the painters that they were named after. Beautiful paintings. Very beautiful art. It was an interesting setting for the game. So the background is, at this point in the Assassin's Creed franchise, this is the second game. The modern day people are Desmond, who is a modern day assassin, sort of. He had been abducted by a company called a name that sounds like asbestos. They're bad guys. They're part of the Templars, which is the evil order that wants to take over the world and control people. Oh, they're bad. They're bad. The good order is the Assassin's Order, who wants to protect people and protect freedom, even though they use very violent and bad ways to do it, frankly. And their motto is, nothing is true, everything is permitted, which we'll talk about in a few minutes. In this particular one, Desmond is in the Animus, which is a machine that allows him to relive the memories of his ancestors through DNA synchronization. Whatever. Early in the game, and this was in the trailers for the most part, Ezio is living pretty carefree, enjoying life, hanging out with his hookup girlfriend, and having fights in the streets with people who have spoken bad about his family, and just kind of running wild, sowing his wild oats with his older brother. And he's got a younger brother, a younger sister, and his dad's banker. Might have said that. I don't remember now. Anyways, they're affluent. Life is good. Everything's happy. And then one day, somebody his father worked with clandestinely betrayed him and their family and had him and his two brothers, the father and the two brothers, hung in the square. Or hanged. He had his father and two brothers hanged in the square. Grammar is hard.
What you just said is one of the most insanely idiotic things I have ever heard.
They died there. Ezio couldn't get up there fast enough to save them, and he goes on a mission of revenge to find who was responsible. There was obviously like a whole organization and things. So then he finds out more about the assassins and the order, and eventually he actually formally joins the assassins. But at first it's just all about getting revenge. A big selling point for me was that story arc from the character development from carefree, I don't care about anything except for the people I immediately love, to I'm out to help protect all people and protect freedom. That Ezio. That was really interesting, compelling to play and enjoy. I also enjoyed the little details, like early on in the game, Ezio's voice is a little younger sounding.
Do you know what brings us here tonight? Honor. Viere de Pazzi slanders my family's name and forces his own miseries upon us.
By the end of the game, he's got a little more deeper voice.
Call me Ezio. I still have some time for that private lesson.
Wasn't hating on that. I just thought it was a neat little detail. I wasn't mad at it. And then I enjoyed some of his little quips.
Ezio, meet Bianca. Bianca, Ezio.
Charmed.
At one point, he and his mother and sister have to flee the city, and they go out in the country, and they're attacked, and another group of people come to their rescue, and it turns out to be his Uncle Mario and his mercenaries. But at first, Ezio doesn't recognize his Uncle Mario, and his uncle says, "Don't you recognize me?"
It's a me, Mario.
And I just couldn't stop laughing. I had to pause the game. I was laughing so hard. It's beautiful. That'll never not be funny. All these little details I liked. So here are some of my pros and cons. So cons, I kind of like to start with cons, get them out of the way. I didn't think there was a very good fast travel system. It was clunky. All of the gameplay was clunky, to be honest. Now, again, bear in mind, this is not my typical game. I stink at parkour. I'm horrible at stealth. I just am very impatient. I just want to run in and start stabbing stuff when it comes to video games, or shooting things when it comes to video games. And you just cannot do that in these games. So I had a big challenge. But I think that I've consistently heard people who've talked about Assassin's Creed agree with me that the controls were clunky. Like, even though this was that kind of game, the controls were clunky even for that kind of game. So that was kind of difficult to struggle through. And again, kind of coming back to the philosophy, I was a little disturbed by that philosophy.
We work in the dark to serve the light. We are assassins.
Nothing is true. Everything is permitted.
I'll cut the game some slack because it is a game. You take it with a grain of salt. I don't care for that philosophy, but I do like that the assassins are the good guys protecting, unfortunately, having to do horrible things to protect innocent people. But I've always thought that was an interesting dynamic for a hero, that they have to, frankly, be violent to maintain peace. And that's an interesting discussion that not really appropriate for this series, but you get the idea, right? So anyways, not enough for me not to play the game, of course, but obviously, because I played it. One of my other complaints was just that the backstory, the modern story, it gets so complicated. And it's not fully explained here, but evidently, and this is why I say you can kind of be dismissive of bad moral codes here. The game is cray-cray, all right? It's totally bonkers. So instead of a regular origin story, whether you're a Christian who believes in creation, or if you're somebody who believes in evolution, or a Christian who believes in a modified evolution, whatever, none of that makes any sense in Assassin's Creed, because instead, aliens came to Earth. They become called the ones who came before, and they created humanity to be their slaves, and humanity eventually rebelled against them. And the first people who escaped were Adam and Eve, and they took the apple of Eden and pieces of Eden, and all of that is technology from the ones who came before. And that's part of what all of this hullabaloo is about. They're trying to get the apple of Eden. They're trying to find the staff of Eden, whatever. They're always out trying to find pieces of Eden's and technology that works basically like magic, which I'm okay with. Like, that doesn't bother me, but it's soup's crazy, right? So nobody in their right mind is going to play this game and go, I'm going to base my system of belief on this crazy game about aliens that came and populated the world before humans. If you do, you got bigger problems. Just don't, okay? Just don't do that. It's just complicated, so it took several videos for me to be able to grasp it. Now, going back and playing Assassin's Creed 2 helped, but I still was kind of like, there's still a lot of questions, and some of this doesn't make any sense. And I felt a little bit like, while the writers did a great job with Ezio and Ezio's, development and that story, I felt like with this backstory, kind of reaching, I've been guilty of this, okay? I'm not trying to be judgmental, just honest. It felt a little bit like they backed themselves into a corner, and so they kind of had to just make stuff up. Like, okay, telling a story is always making stuff up, but you kind of need to know where you're going with it, right? They just wanted these things to happen, so they had to come up with something to make them happen. And what they came up with was a little ridiculous. It's kind of crazy. And I'm like, okay. And the ones who came before, by the way, had Roman god names, Juno and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, whatever. Now, we can't discuss Assassin's Creed and not talk about the crazy timed puzzles that made me want to just throw the controller right out the window. I almost rage quit over these puzzles. One thing that always gets me is a puzzle with a timer. So what you're seeing now is an example of a puzzle that almost made me cry. I think I did this one probably between 15 and 20 times. You can see it shows you where you need to go. You hit the button or pull the lever or whatever. All these little levers come out, and you have to get there before the time runs out, and you can hear it. Do you hear it? Tick, tick, tick. Why would you do this to me? It was awful. It was awful. And you see this YouTuber, God bless him, He does a great job. I don't know how many times it took him to be able to do this. All I know is this was kind of amazing to watch. Those are some of my cons. Pros, I mentioned some attention to detail, like the voice changing. At one point, Ezio is kind of out for a while, like he's hurt. And when he comes to, he's got a beard.
Stop. Don't open it.
Are you all right? What happened to you?
I don't know.
I'm like, it always bothered me when some nice clean-shaven guy is like in a coma for a few days, or like he's unconscious for a few days. When he wakes up, he's still nice and clean-shaven. I'm like, that doesn't seem right. I mean, little details like that make a difference. You might not even notice them necessarily consciously, but when you see them done right, then you're like, oh yeah, that's cool. You know, for 2009, I thought some of those attention to detail moments were they were good. So, oh my goodness, the music. This song, Ezio's Family, is one of the most iconic songs in video game history. It's amazing. It's so good. And I heard this song well before I ever played this game or even had any intention to play any of the Assassin's Creed games, and just thought it was gorgeous. So good. I played Assassin's Creed 2 in 2023. Does it hold up? Yes, it does. It does, actually. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed even as mad as I got with some of those dungeons that made me want to lose my mind. Even then, it was a good game. It was a very good game. Would I play it again? No.
How about no?
No, I would not. No. Those dungeons were hard. It was an amazing game. I'm glad I played it. It was worth the time I invested in it. If you haven't played it and you're even interested in it, I would suggest you play it. The parkour stuff is hard, but there is quite a sense of accomplishment when you do complete it that I don't necessarily get the same way in modern video games. I mean, I won't say I never get that feeling, because there are times, like the secret ending to Cyberpunk 2077, when I completed that on the hard setting, I felt pretty good about that. Not gonna lie. Felt pretty good about that. It was good. It was good. So if you haven't played it and you're thinking about playing it, I would recommend it. Way to go, Ubisoft. It's all right. That's my take on Assassin's Creed 2. I am going to be reviewing Assassin's Creed Brotherhood. I have completed that, and I have also completed Valhalla, because I actually did go ahead and play it all the way through twice. So I'll be giving you my take on that in this series. But I'm also going to be playing Assassin's Creed 3, 4, Origins, and Odyssey. Yeah, I think that's it. There's a lot of these games. I'm not playing them all. I'm going to play those because they're the ones that frankly strike my fancy. And I watched the cinematic trailers for basically every game, and these were the only ones that really I thought looked interesting. So plus, Ezio for these three. Duh. I love a game if I can fall in love with the protagonist. Just a thing. That's my take on Assassin's Creed 2. Please leave me a comment below. Let me know if you agree, if you would like to play it, if you've played it, if you didn't like it. I'm interested in your feedback and comparison as to how other people have enjoyed or not enjoyed Assassin's Creed 2. Let me know if this series is something you find interesting and would like to see it done with some other games. I think this is fun. So if you like this, please let me know. I'd love your input, and anything that I maybe didn't mention about the game that you are interested in, let me know. I can always do a follow-up video, and I'll try to make sure I'm including those kind of things in the future in the series. So thanks for sticking around. If you liked it, please give me a thumbs up, share, subscribe. Make sure you go watch other videos. If you didn't like this video, please still go watch other videos. There may be another one you like. If you didn't like any of those either, sorry. Please keep watching. You might like the next one. Don't give up on me. So thanks for sticking around, and that's it for now.